This is Metabolic Radio, the podcast dedicated to keeping you informed when it comes to everything fitness. My name is Taylor Empey, and with the help of my co-host Shane Pace, we aim to expose the truths about the health and fitness industry. The information and suggestions given in this podcast should not be considered as clinical or medical advice. Consult with a physician before implementing any information provided on this podcast.
It is time for our questions and answers episode for this week.
We still want to do answers and questions.
That would be a little harder, but it's probably doable.
We could do answers and wait till somebody.
We just give people an answer. We say this, and then we say the appropriate question for that would be this.
Well, we could give answers because that's fair.
Deconstructing our.
We could give answers and just have them question the answers.
We could answer questions with questions.
Why do you ask that?
Which supplement should I take? Which supplement shouldn't you take?
Questions and questions. All right, we're doing questions and questions.
We could instead of Metabolic Radio, it could be the meta questions episode.
Nice.
Questions about questions.
I'm liking this. This is a good option for us.
No, this is fun though because we've got one that will be at least one that will be a good, interesting little topic since you and I were talking behind the scenes a little bit, and I told you to stop because I wanted to save it for the episode.
That is correct.
So, I hope I pronounce this right. She's an active member in our forum, Millie. If that Millie, it's labeled as two words, two names. So I'm sorry if I'm slaughtering that, but she would like to know about detoxing, specifically utilization of steam saunas incorporated into your regimen. Do you guys, as meaning us, do you guys include it? And if so, how often? Do you want to go first or you want me?
You were waiting for me to go first. That's
Yeah.
why I looked at you like,
Yeah.
And you want me to go first?
Yeah.
I will say this. I do not use it.
Okay.
But do I think it's beneficial? I do.
Why?
Because it draws things out of your pores.
Okay. Like what?
That's a fair question. Sweat.
Yeah, so
actually, to be
and
honest,
electrolytes.
No,
so
that's
so far
fair.
we're just dehydrated. I have yet to see the benefit.
True. I was going to say, in all honesty, though, a lot of the steam sauna type scenarios don't cause you to sweat. You get sweaty because it's got hydration in the air.
Oh, you're saying it just like condensates or whatever on your body?
Yeah,
I think it still causes you to sweat. You still sweat.
It does.
You still sweat in the pool, even though the pool is 60 degree water.
Right. No,
like
I'm not denying
you're
that.
doing,
I'm not denying that. I'm just saying that the levels are more caused by the
Yeah. So what benefits do you think there actually is to
blood flow.
So
It increases blood flow.
So what? Recovery, maybe?
It helps for recovery.
Okay, I could maybe see an argument for that, but here's the issue I have with it is that you're using it for quote unquote detoxing.
Detoxing.
Okay.
That's fair.
What do your liver and kidneys do if they're functioning normally?
Oh yeah, no, absolutely.
Right. I could honestly.
I gotta move this out of my mouth because it's getting in front of my.
Yeah, I'm gonna out you right now. Everyone, Shane is chewing on a Jolly Rancher.
I am.
Yeah, I called him out.
There's a reason for that.
What's the reason?
My voice.
Detoxing.
My
That's what I thought.
Oh, that is cold blooded. Wow. No, my throat hurts.
I know. It's like, yeah. You're ill. It's fine.
It's not that fine.
Whatever.
It is what it is.
So,
but no, do I think there's a valuable reason to use it? I think it's not a bad thing. I think it's.
But here's the thing.
I still am not moving that Jolly Rancher out of my face.
Yeah, don't choke. I don't want to perform CPR right now.
No, I moved it. It should be good now. I could hear it blocking my tongue.
So, okay.
My speech was.
Could there be some
slurred.
benefits with it for recovery? Yes. Is it applicable to the average person? No. The average person is not going to need that kind of. Honestly, it would be better and less invasive, less harmful and draining to you would be an ice bath.
Agreed.
would be better than than doing sauna for a detox.
I agree with that.
And neither of these techniques are necessary for the average fitness enthusiast unless you are a top performing athlete where you need that specific edge or injury potentially. But
injury for sure.
Heat is pro-inflammatory. So if you've got an injury, you don't want heat on.
I'm not a believer with it.
Necessarily.
When people were trained in the schooling that I did dealing with massage therapy,
the school of hard knocks.
I've lived in that one for a long time, but they did hot, cold, hot, cold, hot, cold.
Yeah.
I'm not a believer in that. I'm personally a big believer in cold, but
that's purported because it causes a simulating circulatory pumping sensation. Mm-hmm. However, if you have an injury that's acute enough to the point where it has caused inflammation, you don't want to be applying heat because it's only going to worsen it. So typically, ice is best, in my opinion.
Well, what heat does is it causes it to flood it, and so it'll actually flood the area and clean it out. And that's why it's supposed to help with inflammation.
Clean out what, though?
The inflammation in the site of the injury. So when you're using hot and cold in conjunction, it slows it down in the process. Then it floods it, which causes it to go through, and then when you cool it down again,
and then it causes the constriction to send it out.
Right. Okay. So, but that being said, my belief still leans towards you use cold for long enough, the body feels like it's freezing. It floods the area anyway. So it does the exact same effect as if you're using hot cold.
Yeah, because we know that you get a better thermic effect from being under cold temperature than you do from hot.
Absolutely.
So in fact, actually, your body trying to heat itself back up so you don't drop your core temperature and die.
Exactly right.
Will actually cause you, in terms of like an energy burn type effect.
Yep,
it would be better that way.
That's why you get both.
But
that's why I lean that direction.
So I could see how there might be some recovery benefits. I'd still lean more towards cold or ice bath for actual recovery. Neither of those are applicable for the average enthusiast and are more for top performing athletes because it's going to give them that edge. And your training regimen probably doesn't call for that anyway. And the other big downside, the two big downsides. One, people use saunas and steam rooms for weight loss. This doesn't. They think that it elevates how much more fat it burns. It doesn't. All it does is it causes weight loss from water. Your body is,
it comes right back
60 to 70% water.
Yep.
You're literally just dehydrating yourself, and as a result of that,
is true.
You're leaching out essential electrolytes.
Yes.
So
that is true.
All you're doing is causing all this water to leave your cells, and you'll lose significant weight because water is quite dense and weighs a lot. But then guess what? Now you leave, and even though maybe it physically helps you kind of feel better or something like that, like you leave and now you're dehydrated, you're going to underperform. Your recovery may be inhibited by that because now you're dehydrated. You don't have water for uptake of nutrients, and you're going to have to replace all that now. And the weight loss is short-lived. It's not fat. You're literally the second you start drinking water again, you're just going to gain all the weight back. So why does it matter? It's just the scale doesn't matter in this scenario because it's not even tissue we're talking about.
That's true.
So you end up being dehydrated and underfueled.
Well, and it comes right back as soon as you hydrate anyway.
Exactly.
Anything you lose in there.
I've seen a lot of cases where people pass out in the saunas.
It can happen,
and it's
for sure.
It's dangerous. I will say this: if you're okay, here's this: you want to use a sauna for recovery, there are some benefits. I would think, based off what we've talked about. However, if you do it, I would be hydrating while you're there with electrolytes and water,
which is fair. I can see
because
that.
you don't need to worry about the weight loss.
I've never seen that done, but I can see that. That makes sense.
I recommend it all the time.
It makes sense to me.
When I used to work in gyms where there were steam rooms, I would tell people, they'd be like, so I'd be like, what are you up to now? And we're done with our session, blah, blah, blah. And they're like, I'm going to go do the steam room. Okay. I say, okay, go grab some juice or a Gatorade or get a smoothie at the bar, because if you're going in there alone and no one's in there, I don't want to find out tomorrow that you passed out and died in there. Because it happened, actually. It wasn't the sauna, it was the hot tub, I believe. But one of the Golds,
similar principle.
or was it Golds or Vasa? I don't remember. I think it was one of those. I think it was Southern Utah. I could be wrong. But it was in Utah. Guy died. Someone came in to open up the gym. I think it was a girl. And found out that she walked in. I don't know if it was one of the members or she walked in, but a guy died in the hot tub overnight or something.
Kind of a downer.
Yeah. So, I mean, Are you going to elicit benefits from a sauna? Yes. Detoxification, that's really debatable and questionable. Detox is one of those words that's thrown around a lot. Detox teas, detox programs, detox by sauna and sweating, detox yoga. Here's the thing. Your body detoxifies itself already by utilizing specific organs and certain processes that keep you alive. If you're in a toxic state, you're probably needing medical attention if you're legitimately in a toxic state.
Right.
Here's something you might like is that if you want a better quote unquote detoxification effect or a better recovery effect, go get a deep tissue massage.
Oh yeah.
You can talk about all the benefits of that. Yeah. That'll be way better than a sauna, steam room.
No, that's for sure. Because it'll break out. Your tissues have a tendency to hold things. So when you do that, it opens it up quite a bit. You're right for sure on that.
And I'm not saying that there's no that all detoxing is a myth. It's just it's a lot of stuff that's being marketed that leverages that term because it sells.
Yeah,
people want to be cleansed. People don't want to feel, and that's another word, cleanse, right? That people don't want to feel dirty. They want to feel rejuvenated and pure and everything like that. And if a supplement or a tea or a program will do that for them, they want to jump on that bandwagon. There are benefits to some of these things, but it's not what it's purported to be.
That's what I was going to say. Usually they're hyped in the wrong directions.
Yeah, but honestly, the best quote unquote detox type of effect I've ever had, and it's noticeable, is getting a legitimate deep tissue corrective massage.
Sure.
And that's because if you go get one, just look at the color of your urine when you're done.
Oh yeah,
it'll be dark because you're actually passing things that have been.
I'll give you this warning though: if you get worked on and you have been sick, you will be sick.
Oh yeah.
It will make you really sick. It depends on what they do. I mean, let's be fair. There's a lot you can do that'll cause it to be even more intense. But that being said, if they're intelligent about how they do it, you'll get less ill than you could.
Yeah.
Because it does. It releases a lot of stuff.
Cool.
Well said.
Yeah. Next question from Londa. I posted something on the forum about Beta-Alanine and how it's an ergogenic aid or it's performance enhancing and is a supplement that may be worth using if you are looking for an increase in performance specifically. So this would cater more towards athletes or people who compete either recreationally or not in some type of sport. But she's basically asking what brand of Beta-Alanine we would recommend. Very few.
And I'm going to say this is all Taylor.
I've done a lot of the. We've talked about potential for pointing you guys in the right directions of supplementation in the future, and with a specific line or something like that. Now, the thing is this: just remember, no supplement is ever going to replace proper diet and proper training, ever. So you need to make sure you square away those things. Square away your training regimen, dial in that nutrition, get on something that's consistent and maintainable and healthy and going the right direction that you need to be. And really look at developing your results from that. Look at focusing on performance, increasing your performance naturally, all these other things. And then when it's applicable, and if it's applicable, then you can start looking at supplementation. So, Londa, it really would depend on the application that you're looking for, but Beta-Alanine in a nutshell is an ergogenic aid that aids in increasing performance and output during your workout, specifically during resistance training. And it can be used also for endurance training. So if you're looking to compete in a marathon or something like that, I mean, that could have some use. Just know, and if you're trying to increase your strength, that'd be a good supplement to use. Just know that raw amino acids in their raw form taste very nasty. You'd need to put something into it to kill that taste. I use natural stevia and or coconut water because then it has some potassium and some natural sugars to mask it. But then it's nothing that's too processed or artificial ingredients. And just know that it gives a massive tingling, if not itchy, effect because it causes flushing. So if the clinically effective dose of Beta-Alanine is approximately 4 grams. Don't take that amount unless you've ever taken beta.
Build up.
Yeah, I take that amount, but that's because I've built up quite a tolerance. It is very itchy, especially for someone of smaller body type. So I would start with, I mean, if you're going to use it, test out 500 milligrams, half a gram. You probably won't feel it. You should start with somewhere between 500 milligrams to 1500 milligrams or 1.5 grams, because even that 1.5 is something you're definitely going to feel, and then work your way up from there if you're looking for that performance enhancing effect. In terms of brands, honestly, I sometimes use a site called bulksupplements.com. I can't vouch for everything that's on there. I haven't delved too deeply into it. But if you're looking for raw beta-alanine by itself, with very few, if not any, additives, and they have a lot of their stuff is vegan friendly and non-GMO, that would be a place that you could get that. But definitely look at the packaging, the proper serving dosage, those kind of things, and you need to take a lot lower dose than what is recommended. But like I said, is it going to be like this end-all be-all to your results? No, it's going to give you a little boost in performance that might be noticeable, and you know, basically don't waste your money unless you're an athlete, pretty much.
Makes sense.
So, do you want to add to that?
No, man, you're better at that specific topic by far.
Cool. Last one is from Steve. Can you build muscle and burn fat at the same time? This is a good question.
My belief.
Go for it.
Absolutely.
Yep.
There's been studies
I agree.
With boxers, actually. I can't remember. I wish I could pull the study up because I've only read about the study. I haven't read the study, and I'm not even sure where it's located. But they actually did a study on boxers that out of a specific gym, because the person that was doing the training felt like that's what was occurring, and they found that it was very true.
Yeah. I've done this multiple times with male clients who want to build muscle. They're not even, some of them were concerned with body fat loss, and some of them didn't even care. But it's about 50-50 roughly with that. And when we focused on just muscle building, and mind you, they were eating in caloric surplus for sure, because I very meticulous when I knew that, and they built muscle while simultaneously burning body fat. Part of this is because you can how do I explain this? In terms of the muscle development side of things, stimulus will cause muscle to grow regardless sometimes of caloric intake.
It's usually based on an anabolic reaction in your body.
Yeah. So it's like I could eat the same calories every day, but my strength and muscle can go up because I'm changing my training protocol and the stimulus and the weight, or the way I move the weight and those kind of things. So the inverse can impact fat loss as well. It really depends on the activity you're doing, and people talk about calories in, calories out. You cannot burn fat or lose weight unless you are in a deficit, and you can't build muscle unless you are in a surplus. This is a rough principle of thermodynamics that is not applicable in all situations. Perfect example: bodybuilders on anabolics. Absolutely. They will burn fat and they will build muscle, and that is because their metabolism is in a different state, even though they're probably eating a caloric surplus.
Right.
So yeah, to answer your question, yes, you can build muscle and burn fat at the same time.
It is difficult.
Does it become more difficult? It's difficult. I would say it's not difficult if you're brand new to it.
Agreed.
For the first 3 months, you could easily see fat burning and muscle development simultaneously if the trainer or you know what you're doing.
Yep.
If after that point you're really going to start to see that taper off, and you're going to want to go through different cycles of bulks and cuts, or building phases and more cutting phases that are both training and nutritionally tailored for that. But the more experienced you get, the more experience your body gets with resistance training and different protocols of cutting and bulking, the harder and harder and harder it is to do it. Yep. I've actually done it, and I did it last year when I was experimenting with a new protocol, which I'd never experimented before with, which was the combination of a super slow tempo and so basically a 4 count on the concentric contraction and the eccentric stretch, of the movement. So basically every rep was taking 8 seconds. And so super engaging in the muscle. And then I was doing intermittent fasting. I actually gained 1 pound of muscle approximately based off my measurements. And I actually lost 13 pounds of body fat in a 90-day period.
Right.
So
that was your transformation picture.
Yeah, exactly. Though it wasn't super significant on the muscle development side, I did build simultaneously while I was cutting significant body fat. Obviously, some of that could have been water loss, right? Like, I get it, it's approximate measurements, but and I did not do any mini cuts or bulks within that period. I was in a slight caloric deficit, if you were to run the numbers, because of I was also doing walking and non-NEAT, basically keeping my non-exercise activity thermogenesis up, and so I built muscle even though I was in a deficit, because of stimulus, right? So even though I lacked the appropriate, well, I didn't. I apparently had enough amino acids in my amino acid pool, despite the fact I was in a deficit, to build muscle.
Well, let me give you this one too to think on.
While I burned fat,
if somebody's recomping, and they're losing fat and they're gaining weight, they're gaining muscle.
Oh yeah, for sure.
And that happens.
This
very
happened
often.
This happened to a client of mine. I mentioned it in another episode a few episodes back. A client that I just recently started working with built approximately 4 pounds of muscle in our first 30 days while losing 1.5% body fat.
Right.
And this wasn't just because they went up in muscle and so their body fat ratio decreased. We actually did the math on it, and they actually lost a few, it was like 2 pounds, I think. But it happened. It's simultaneous, right?
I think it's more common than people think. They just don't realize it's occurring.
Yeah. So. Yeah, something as simple as just, the scale went up, which means I gained weight, which means I gained fat or I gained muscle, or the scale went down, so I gained fat, or I lost fat or I lost muscle. It's such a basic, non-accurate approach.
Agreed.
You can use the scale as a measurement tool, but it's very vague, and you have to know how to interpret it with other measurements to really understand it.
Yep. For sure.
So honestly, the answer to the question is yes, you can do it. Is it difficult? Depends on where you're at. If you're just starting out, it should be fairly easy for the first few weeks or months. After that, it's going to become quite difficult to reintroduce a simultaneous fat burn with muscle development.
Just because of the nature of the way your body reacts, but sure.
You'll hear a lot of people.
Physiology changes.
You'll hear a lot of people that talk about how it's impossible. They're basing that off a very basic metabolic concept, and they need to understand the change in hormones and other
dynamics,
metabolic processes that take place,
sure.
and other factors. So,
for sure,
it is possible.
Yes.
Okay. Well, that was our last Q&A.
Sweet.
Questions? Anything you want to add?
I would high five everybody in the room, but it's just me and you.
All right, everybody.
I'm not high-fiving myself.
If you're driving in your car, keep your hand on the wheel, but we're giving you a figurative high five.
Bam.
All right. Also, if you like Metabolic Radio, go to iTunes on your app or on computer, whatever listening device you're tuning in. Give us a 5-star rating and review.
It helps.
Those
immensely.
help boost us in the rankings. Those help us get viewed by other people and help spread the good word of fitness and educate you guys for free.
You're right.
Okay? Share this with your friends, your family, and we appreciate your support.
Sweet.
See you later.
Peace.
Hey everybody, thank you so much for tuning in to today's episode. Shane and I hope you learned something new and exciting today about your own health and fitness. Head over to metabolicradio.com. There you'll find our bios and our results-driven programs that are designed to help teach you everything you need to know when it comes to getting real permanent results. You can also sign up for our newsletter to get free weekly updates. To chat with Shane or I, just email us at taylor@metabolicradio.com or shane@metabolicradio.com. We would love to hear from you. You can also join the conversation on Facebook. Just go to facebook.com and search for Metabolic Radio Private Forum. There you can request to join the group. We would love to add you to the conversation and answer your questions on the show. And hey, if you like our podcast, please help us grow our community by leaving us a 5-star rating and review on iTunes. We would really appreciate your help. Thanks again so much for all your support and your listenership. Now go out there and spread the good word of fitness.